Welcome in, everybody. It's Zach here. Hopefully, you guys are rested and ready for a good day of football here. Just going to go over, like usual, the last minute injury updates. I'm just going to give you guys my view on anything that changed maybe last minute here. And then, of course, I'll be here to sort of help you guys answer any specific start sit questions you guys might have as well. So, yeah, that being said, let's just sort of get into it. And then, if you guys have any questions or anything, just let me know in the comments. And I'll make sure I try and address those during this video. So starting off with the actives here, we got both Saints. They'll be active. We've got Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave. Both of them kind of gave us a scare this week. They should both be active. I'm a little bit more concerned about Chris Olave than Alvin Kamara. Kamara just sounds like he's got some bumps and bruises, a hip and a rib injury, so maybe they'll manage him a little bit, but they don't really have any other options. It's kind of a big game for them too, playing the Atlanta Falcons. So I think they'll make sure Alvin Kamara is involved. I think he'll still be a focal point of the offense. But Chris Olave always coming up with when you come up with a hamstring injury on Friday, it certainly is scary. I'm playing him everywhere I have him. I was really on the fence about him or T. Higgins in a league. I still want Chris Olave, so I still think you're playing Chris Olave, but it's not something that I'm necessarily super excited about. So just keep that in mind. I think Chris Olave is probably going to be at least a little bit limited this week. It's just tough with those hamstring injuries to know, and there's obviously a re-injury risk for sure. Before I keep going, we've got Joel. Do I start Sam Laporta or Elijah Higgins? No, you got to go Laporta there. I know Laporta's going to be limited, but the Seahawks pass defense, at least last season, was one of the worst against tight ends. Obviously, it's tough to look at just this season so far. They haven't really played any tight ends that would really change what we would expect to see there. So, actually, they did give up a ton of fantasy points to Hunter Henry in week 2. So I still think Sam Laporta is in line for a good week here. He's been declared active already. I wouldn't get that cute and go with Elijah Higgins, so I would play Laporta here. I know Higgins scored a touchdown in week 2, but I don't know if there's really any more upside. It's even more of like a Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch getting involved than any of the tight ends in Arizona. Gerardis, Olave, London, or Johnson. Wow. Good options. Crazy that you get to bench 2 of those guys. I think I lean Deontay this week. I know the injury's a little bit concerning, but the matchup's awesome. 14 targets. He's a first read on 13 of his 14 targets last weekend. They're going to get him extremely involved. I think he's really safe. If it's full PPR, I'd go Deontay. If it's like non-PPR, then maybe I'd go Drake London because I think he's got a better shot to score. But in full or half PPR, I think Deontay's the better play there. Okay, so moving on to the actives again. Bucky Irving, Rachaad White, both of them are going to be active here. Bucky dealing with a hamstring injury. It sounds like Rachaad White was dealing with some food poisoning. The reports are that Rachaad White sort of progressed really well from that food poisoning, so I think he'll be completely fine. Bucky Irving, sort of similar to Chris Olave. We've got a hamstring injury sort of popping up later in the week. Sounds like he's going to be okay, but like if there was going to be a week where Bucky Irving ever overtook Rachaad White, it's not going to be this week. They're not going to do that in a week where he's banged up. So I think both of them are like low-end plays this week. The Eagles have a really good run defense. I think Rachaad White still like a low-end RB2 as a guy that should catch passes and be okay. I think he'll be involved enough as a pass catcher. They're going to need him. So I still think you can play Rachaad White, especially in full PPR, but it's obviously not great knowing he's been struggling lately and now he's not necessarily feeling 100%. Deontay Johnson going to be active as well. I mentioned him to Gerardis. I think he's going to be really solid this week. I think he's a guy that's going to have 10 plus targets again this week. Maybe has a chance to score. I'm a big fan. I'm really excited about that Bengals Panthers game. Should be a lot of fun. Keenan Allen going to be active in this one as well. I don't necessarily think I want to play Keenan Allen. It just makes me a little bit more confident if you wanted to stream Caleb Williams. It's a really good matchup for the Bears against the Rams. I think Rome Odunze's got a good shot to connect on a deep ball at some point. DJ Moore, I think he'll be involved. He's getting a lot of targets right now. I know a lot of people are concerned with DJ Moore, but I think he'll be fine as well. It makes Cole Kmet a little bit less interesting as a streaming option for the tight end position, but I still think you're probably playing him if you picked him up this week. Keenan Allen should muddy the waters just a little bit there. Before I keep going, good morning. Planning for the rest of the season. Do I drop Corum for either McLaughlin or Algier? I would definitely drop him for Algier there. Corum, we don't know for sure if he's going to be the handcuff, and Algier is very clearly the running back that's going to get all the work if anything were to happen to Bijan. So I think Algier's just got a ton of upside. And he's a guy that, in a pinch, you could maybe flex in like a deeper league in a bye week and stuff, just because he's going to get at least a few touches. Corum's completely uninvolved, and we don't even know if he's the backup truly if something were to happen to Kyren. So I'd move on from Corum. McLaughlin, it's tough because I did like him a lot coming into the season, but just none of the backs have gotten anything done there. They're not throwing the ball to the backs as much as I would have expected, and I don't know. I don't think they're going to really fully move on from Javonte. Tyler Bidet is involved. We're going to see Audric Estime back at some point. It's just really muddy there, so I think I would just drop Corum for Algier there. Okay, so moving on, we got Jordan Love. He's going to be active this week, as is Justin Herbert. For Jordan Love, I don't really want to play him in the one league I have, or one of the leagues I have him. I'm playing Geno Smith over him this week, just because it's tough. Guys coming off of an injury. You're not going to get really any rushing production out of Jordan Love, I don't think. And this Vikings defense is legit against the Green Bay Packers this week, so I don't love that. But it is a boost for every single pass catcher there. It makes Christian Watson like a low-end flex play. You're definitely starting Jaden Reed this week. For Justin Herbert, I don't think it really means anything. Like if you really wanted to play Ladd McConkey or Quentin Johnston, you could, but it feels desperate. The Chiefs are going to beat them this week. They're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to lose. Maybe you get some garbage time later at the end of the game when they're trying to play from behind, but you need Justin Herbert to make it through the game as well. He didn't make it through the game last week. They got to bye next week if they get down early and this just looks bad. I could see them pulling him and just being safe. It's just not a good situation. I don't really think they should even be playing Herbert. I don't think they've really got a great shot to win this week anyway. So I wouldn't play Herbert. I wouldn't play any of the receivers there. It'd be J.K. Dobbins and nobody else for the Chargers. Nico Collins, he'll be active in this one. You're definitely playing him along with Tank Dell being inactive. It's going to be Nico along with Stephon Diggs, both probably just putting up monster games this week. The Jaguars defense is maybe the worst in the NFL at this point. Then Deebo Samuel and George Kittle both are slated to be active. We don't have the official word on that because it's an afternoon game here, but they should be active, and I think you can probably just play both of them, but it just basically means that Jawan Jennings isn't really in play as anything more than like a really low-end flex play for me. Next up here on the inactives, we've got Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce. Definitely makes Cam Akers a really enticing option here. They're going to have to lean on him this week. The Jaguars, again, like I mentioned, have one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. We saw James Cook. We really saw everybody get it done for the Bills last week. I think Joe Mixon being out is going to make Cam Akers a really solid play this week. Okay, flex, PPR, Ladd McConkey, Jacoby Myers, or Brian Thomas Jr. I think I'd go Brian Thomas Jr. there just for the upside. I think he's got a good shot to connect on a deep ball. He had a career high in targets last week. They'll be playing from behind. I think Brian Thomas is going to be in line for like a solid 10 plus PPR points this week and someone that could have a big week if he catches a long touchdown. Myers is solid. I feel like I always underrate him just because he's going to be involved. But Trey Tucker was technically the better of the two guys last week. Feels like it's going to be a Brock Bowers game, and this game could be competitive between the Raiders and the Browns as well. So I don't really want to go there. I think the Raiders might try and just slow things down, lean on the run game. So Myers is a little scary, and then McConkey, like I mentioned, I just don't trust the passing volume in Los Angeles. You're going to need a touchdown from McConkey to pay off, and lately he hasn't been the guy they're looking towards near the goal line. So that'd be Brian Thomas for me, but I think all three are similar options, but I think Brian Thomas just has the most upside for you there. Okay, so yeah, continuing here, Russell Wilson, he'll be inactive. He'll be the emergency third string quarterback again. Makes Justin Fields a low-end streaming option if you need to at the quarterback position. Other than that, I mean, George Pickens, he's the wide receiver you want to start for Pittsburgh. Should be in line for a good week and a good matchup here. And then I think Najee Harris is in line for a big game. Jalen Warren is also out, so Najee should see plenty 20-plus touches. If you're in a super deep, like 14-team league with like two flexes, I think Cordarrelle Patterson is somewhat interesting, but you got to be pretty desperate to go there. Like I mentioned already, Tank Dell is inactive. Makes both Diggs and Nico Collins really nice options this week. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, both of them are going to be inactive this week. Makes sense with the Eagles having a bye next week. I think Dallas Goedert's in line for another big week, and Saquon's just going to be a guy they're going to have to lean on. So you're playing both those guys. I think you're still playing Jalen Hurts, but just don't expect like a week-winning performance out of Hurts this week. Jalen McMillan, he'll be inactive for the Buccaneers. Doesn't mean a whole lot, but he's a good player. It just means they're going to have to rely on both Godwin and Mike Evans a little bit more. I think both of them are going to have really solid games against the Eagles this week. Trey McBride, he'll be inactive, as will David Njoku. We're really just hurting at the tight ends position right now. I think you can look for streaming options. I think Elijah Higgins, like you mentioned, Joel, really a deep league option. I wouldn't like to go there. Just tough to. It's just the handcuff tight end position doesn't really work out. It's very rare that you see like a team that's just so dependent on utilizing the tight end position. So I don't want to go there, but just look at guys like Cole Kmet, Brenton Strange, Zach Ertz, those kinds of streaming options. I think you'll be okay if you go there. Austin Eckler, he'll be inactive this week. Just makes Brian Thomas a really great play this week. Good matchup this week. I think he'll be in line for a big game. And then Devontae Adams, he'll be inactive, considered week to week with a hamstring injury. Makes Jacoby Myers a guy that does need to be rostered, as does Trey Tucker probably. I think both of them will be more involved going forward. But if nothing else, really, just means Brock Bowers is going to be a stud. I think you're playing Brock Bowers for sure. And then you can get cute and flex Myers or Tucker if you need to, but you've got to be willing to accept that the floor is pretty damn near zero there. But yeah, other than that, that's all the inactives and actives. Up next, we'll go over the Week 4 recap. I'll probably put that out tomorrow for you guys. So if you guys have any more questions, I'll stick around for like one more minute if you guys get another question in or two. And then other than that, hopefully you guys have a good Week 4. Hopefully you guys can get some wins, some much-needed wins this week. I know a lot of us are really hurting with injury and everything. So hopefully we can scrape out a win, and then hopefully you guys just have a good Sunday and enjoy football. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you for stopping by, and I'll catch you guys next Sunday, and hopefully you guys enjoy the recap of Week 4 and the future videos this week. So yeah, thanks everybody. I'll catch you guys later. Good luck.